Chris Wells is a name, one that I used to give girls back when I was in college when I didn't want them to know my real name.
My next guest is an education professional, longtime pro wrestling fan, and karaoke enthusiast. As seen on WWE The Bump and on his TikTok, creating memories to entertain us all, I'd like to welcome the Professor, Nick Harrison, to the Tristen Law Show. Nick, how's it going?
Going well, Tristan. How about yourself?
Brother, I'm doing really good. I'm glad that you're here. I mean, I know that you're busy out there creating content for the world, and I'm glad that you're able to take a second to hang out with me today.
Well, I'm glad to be invited to be on, man. I've been looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time.
So, Nick, like yourself, I enjoy performing karaoke. My go-to karaoke song is Earth, Wind, and Fire, September. On Saturday nights, when you go down to Two Dudes Brew and Q in Monroe, Louisiana, bro, what's your go-to karaoke song?
God, that's such a good question because there's so many different songs that I'll do. My go-to would probably be Hook by Blues Traveler. It's one of my favorite songs to do, and it's one that I know word for word. I don't even have to look at the screen for it. So that'll probably be the go-to of all go-tos.
See, for me, I used to live in Orlando, I used to go to this bar called Oh Shucks. And when I went there, me and my friend way back in the day, he said, pick a song, let's do a duet, because we both have these out of these world personalities, and Earth, Wind, and Fire, September, man, that was our song. I never heard the song before that first night, but I read it, did all the things, and hey, that's my go-to karaoke song.
It's a really good song, man. September is one that a lot of people know and they'll get into. That song by Blues Traveler is one that a lot of people know. And, you get to flex your vocal muscles with that one. So that's one that I really enjoy doing.
So are you a singer? You do a lot of things, right? But is singing one of the things that you do?
I do love to sing, which is part of the reason why I started hosting karaoke in the first place, because I would always go to karaoke's and do really well. And people were like, well, why don't you just start hosting? So I got hired by this cat to start doing it, and then I started doing some gigs on my own, and and that's one of the things I do on social media as well. I'll do parody songs where I'll sing songs and stuff. So yeah, singing is something that I love to have in my bag of tricks.
So what is it about karaoke that draws you in?
It's just a lot of fun. One thing that I always tell people when they come to my karaoke's is, if you're having fun, then that's all that matters. People will say, well, I don't want to get up because I can't sing and I don't know how to sing. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if you know how to sing. If you can't carry your notes, then that's absolutely fine. If you're having a good time, then that's what it's all about. And that's one thing that I love about karaoke more than anything else is having fun. And so that's to me is what draws me into it more than anything else.
That's what draws me into karaoke as well, too, because, if you ask people that have ridden with me in the car, I can't sing, but I can definitely entertain. I can stand on the stage and do my thing. And I think for me, that's what I get out of karaoke. But since we're on the topic of karaoke, I mentioned in the introduction that you are on TikTok creating moments, and everyone can see them on TikTok at Mr. Professor 318. Go ahead and give him a follow. But last year, you went viral with your parody of Korn's Coming Undone that you called Alphabet Undone. How did you come up with your version of that song, and what was your mindset when you saw that you were going viral?
I was in the classroom because at the time I was teaching. I'm in administration now, but at the time I was in my classroom. We had a day in the middle of the week where there were no students and it was just us in our classrooms doing whatever. I was working on some stuff and I just started because I had a video go viral right before that one of me just in the car listening to Coming Undone. And so the song was stuck in my head because I was constantly getting these notifications for the video. And I started putting the alphabet to it. And I was like, wow, this worked. So I ran to my truck and I got my tripod and came back into the classroom and just recorded it, and then did a little audio dubbing afterwards. And that's how it came to be. And it was doing well on TikTok, and then I got a message from somebody. Somebody commented on the video and said, "Hey, Jonathan Davis, who's the lead singer of Korn, just posted the video to his Instagram story." So I run the Instagram and I go look at it, and it just blows my mind that Jonathan and I think their drummer Ray as well were both posting it and just really enjoyed it. So it was just really cool to see, and that was just crazy, man.
That's really cool. When I was a kid, I listened to everything as a kid. So as a kid, those were one of the groups that I enjoyed. But talking about TikTok, you jumped on TikTok in April 2020 because your friend Erica suggested that you join the social media app. However, when you got on TikTok, you realized that it wasn't really what you expected, and you immediately deleted the app. What was your initial experience in TikTok, and why did you leave?
The initial experience was in January of 2020.
January.
April was when I re-downloaded it. But Erica had suggested to me, one of my dear friends, "Hey, Erica, she was on it and loved it, and she was like, you need to get on it." I said, "I don't know about that." So I downloaded and check it out, and I deleted it after a day because I was like, this is nothing but teenage kids dancing. I'm gonna get in trouble watching this. So they're gonna put me on a watch list. So let me just go ahead and get off of here now. But getting back on it, I kind of rediscovered where a lot of people, find their love for TikTok, and it was really enjoyable. So yeah, but the initial experience was like, they're gonna put me in jail for having this on my phone, so let me get rid of it.
That's the initial reason why I don't have TikTok, but you did get back on TikTok. Obviously, you got about 83,000 followers or something like that. I am not on TikTok for the same exact reason, but you joined a group that's called TikTok Rocks. So what did TikTok Rocks, the Facebook group, unlock for you in your mind that made you want to go back on TikTok?
TikTok Rocks was run by a friend of mine. The group has changed over now because people stopped posting it at some point. But it was a group of people who I knew, was close friends of mine, who were in the group, who were all posting on TikTok. So it made me feel like I wasn't alone, and I wasn't the only one who was out there putting themselves out on the app. Right. So it was just a great way to make connections with people who were on the app. Some people I knew, some people I didn't know, and to bring some people who I did know, who were friends of mine, who were already on the app, into the group to say, hey, look, here's a group of people who are just like us, a bunch of 40-somethings who are on TikTok killing time because we're all stuck in the house. So that's kind of where all that came from.
That's pretty cool. Maybe I'll find a TikTok group and maybe I'll get on TikTok. But every time somebody sends me a TikTok, it comes to the phone and I watch the video, but I don't go any further than downloading the app. I use Instagram Reels. That's my version of TikTok.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people are on now, which is cool.
I agree. During the initial stages of the COVID pandemic, you worked with children whose parents were on the front lines of COVID. After working long 12-hour days, how did you find the motivation to go home and create content for the internet?
It was kind of difficult because I was spent. I'd be up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be at work for 5. And I'd be there from 5 in the morning till 5, sometimes 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And I would get home and I'd just be absolutely drained and tired. But for some reason, I would get up and just make TikTok after TikTok, because in the beginning, I was making like 10, 12 videos a day. And it's because I was having fun and I loved it and I enjoyed what I was doing. And it was just a good time. So that was the beginnings of it all, when I was just really digging into, finding content to create and, finding my niche on the app. And so I still have as much fun today as I did back then making them. I just don't make as many because I don't have as much time.
So 10 TikTok videos a day on average, I'm sure, because some days you probably made more, made less. How did you get the ideas to make all these videos in a day?
Well, some of them were original ideas. Some of them were wrestling stuff that I just wanted to do. Some of them were ideas that I would see on the FYP, and some were just from sounds that I would hear on the app and say, "Ooh, you know what I could do? I could do this," and I would turn it into something, and it was just a lot of fun. So yeah, some of it was like super original, just ideas that came into my brain, and some of it was, "Oh, this is a trend. I see this. That's a lot of fun. Let me do this."
Nick, I know you don't like to be called a celebrity because of your success on the internet, but you were discovered by the WWE and they invited you on their internet show, WWE The Bump. Walk us through how that all went down.
I was in the classroom with my kids. We were finishing up a test that we were doing, and the kids, I had started to gain a little traction on TikTok, and they were like, "Hey, let's make a video." So I said, "Sure." And they knew that I did the wrestling stuff, so they were like, "Well, let's do the Undertaker because that's one that a lot of people know. You know, he's a universal character that they have on their programming." So the kids, I come up with this idea, say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Somebody go to the back of the classroom and took the lights on and off as I'm coming into the classroom and all that stuff. And the video ended up doing pretty well. And I get a message on TikTok from the WWE. Now, to get a message from somebody on TikTok, you both have to be following each other. So first of all, it was the realization that, oh my gosh, the WWE follows me. And then the message itself said, "Hey, we really enjoy your content. We were wondering if you'd like to come on our show, The Bump." I was like, "Well, yeah, of course." So we hammered out a date to where we could do it. I was actually in New Orleans at a conference at the time, but I was able to carve out some time while I was down there to kind of be on the bump, which was just it's still crazy to me that even popped up and came into place, and that has now spawned other opportunities because of that, and I'm incredibly grateful to the WWE, to Matt Camp, Ryan Papala, for giving me the opportunity to be on with them so that we can discuss my love of professional wrestling in the WWE.
Look, if the WWE calls you and they want you to come on, I mean, you jump on that opportunity as quickly as you can. That's like sitting at a
Yeah,
buffet and seeing that fresh food just came out. You got to hop on that. So, I would
kind of
definitely
got to
not,
get in there.
definitely, while the getting is getting good. But after being on WWE The Bump, what was work like for you in the days following?
It was insane, man. People, because what happened, what it was crazy is when I did the bump, it was the end of school. So I was out of school at the time. Didn't even have to go back to work. So going back to work in August, after all of that, because I did the bump and then ended up getting verified not too long after that. And that was just insane, you know, to go back into the classroom as a verified social media creator and having, that's what kids, look at and they're like, "Oh, wow, you're famous." And me, I'm not really into all of that. So
Right.
it was just kind of crazy to walk back into that after just an incredible summer with so many cool things happening like that.
I feel the same exact way as you do. Like I don't feel like I'm famous, but one of my friends, we were walking in Walmart one day and somebody stopped me and they go, "Here, are you Tristen Law, the wrestler?" Then it's like, yeah. And then, I walked away and my friend was just looking at me with these big eyes. They go, "Do you know that you're famous?" I'm like, "I'm not famous." But then, after the whole conversation, I realized that fame has its levels, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
the entire world may not know who I am, but somebody here in New York, when they see me, "Oh, hey, that's Tristen Law." So fame, fame has its levels.
Yeah, it's just crazy to have those kind of moments and instances. I was in over the summer I was in Orange Beach, Alabama, and we were going to eat at this restaurant. And I walk out of the restroom, and there's somebody standing outside the restaurant. I'm from Louisiana, and there's somebody in Alabama who's like, "Hey, I'm sorry to bother you, but aren't you the guy that goes on TikTok and those mixes and stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, that's me." It's like, "Oh my God, I love your stuff." So it's just, I've come to grips with it. It's not something. I try not to shun it completely anymore because it used to be just I would shudder to hear, but now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I accept it and I'm just going to use it for really good things.
Well, moving forward, because that's still definitely cool that people are recognizing you for TikTok. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Like me, maybe I should get on the app. People recommend for me to get on the app, but I got other things doing, and I'm glad that you're out there doing your thing. But Nick, I grew up in New York City, right? And I was a WWF kid through and through. You, on the other hand, you grew up in the South, aka WCW country. Why is Ric Flair one of your favorite wrestlers of all time?
The swag, the personality, what he was able to do in ring and how he was able to just jump off of the screen. And, there were a lot of guys there like Dusty Rhodes and Sting and the Road Warriors who were just, larger than life characters. And that's one thing that Flair was a larger than life character with the hair and the clothes and the shade and the woo, everything was just gigantic. And that's one of the things that you kind of grab, especially when you're a young kid, you gravitate towards those things that are larger than life, and that's what drew me to the Nature Boy.
Can I see your best Ric Flair impression?
Sure. You come out here and you tell your stories and your lies and your little bitty legs, and you try to tell me that you're coming to come down on the Nature Boy Ric Flair. But it's not going to happen, because when you come down here, you're dealing with the styling, and profiling Nature Boy Ric Flair, who's done it better than anybody's ever done, pal. So you're not going to come down here and get on me tonight. Woo!
Let's go back to work for you for a second, because we know that you work in the school, right? And I mentioned you were an educational professional. So based on that little Ric Flair promo that you just did, how do you use your unique personality to create a fun, educational, and engaging environment within the classroom?
Well, that's what education is about, first and foremost. Or one of the things that's paramount is engagement, keeping the kids interested. And so if you incorporate music, if you incorporate stuff like that, where you're just, you're using funny voices and you're saying things. Because I taught ELA, so it was a lot of reading involved. So if you're reading it as the Macho Man, oh yeah, let's go down this aisle, kids, down the aisle, Elizabeth. Just, that kind of stuff will keep the kids interested in what you're doing and what the lesson is about, and they'll remember those little moments and they'll come back to you later and say, wow, Mr. Harrison, I really appreciate, that was a lot of fun. I always love coming to your class. And that's what, is great about what I do, is being able to incorporate that kind of stuff into the classroom and keeping the kids engaged.
That's 100% what school is about. I remember being in school, in middle school. That's when I, realized I started liking wrestling, and the teachers allowed me to be eccentric. I was running around the school thinking that I was DX, I was Shawn Michaels, Triple H, I was all those guys. They did get me into some trouble, especially Stone Cold Steve Austin, especially with the fingers. But, that's pretty cool that there's a teacher like you out there. And I wish I can go back in time and you could be my teacher. If that was the case, we'd both be like in the same school as students, so that wouldn't work.
I get those kind of comments all the time from people saying, I wish you could have been my teacher, man. That would have been really cool. I would have never missed a day of school. And that means a lot to me as an educator, that there are people who see what I'm trying to do. And they're like, man, not only do they appreciate it, they're like, I want to be a part of this. How can I get in on that? I'm 50. I want to go back to school and be in school with you. It's just really cool to hear.
One day we all have to leave this earth, but content like the Tristen Law Show and all the content that you've created and will continue to create on TikTok and across other social media platforms, it will outlive us. What do you want the legacy of Nick Harrison to be?
A legacy of positivity, a legacy of wanting to uplift others, legacy of wanting to put smiles on faces, a legacy of loving God first and foremost, a legacy of education, a legacy of finding the good in the world and really reaching out to people and letting others know that they are loved and appreciated and important. That is the legacy that I want to leave behind for my son. I want to set that kind of example for him. So when I do leave this earth, he can continue to put those things forward, and and so others will be able to see it, and they'll be able to put those things forward. And that's something that I've always, that's always been near and dear to my heart. So that's the legacy that I want to leave behind.
Who is Nick Harrison?
I'm still figuring that out. Even at 41, I'm still trying to figure out exactly who I am, and because we're always growing. You once you stop growing, then what are you doing? You're just spinning your wheels. You're standing in place. We all need to continue to grow and build, and we want to become the person that we hope to be one day, but that should never be the end all be all. One thing that I always say is, I want God. I wish I could. God help me be a better person than I was yesterday. Just keep building on the person who I am, and keep adding and keep growing. So I don't know if any of us ever truly 100% know who we are, because we're unfinished. We are unfinished art and there are brush strokes that are still being added to this beautiful piece of artwork, which we are.
Mic drop. I like that. That was a really good answer. So
thank you.
I ran into one of your buddies from college, and I heard there was a guy who went there the same time as you. You might know him. His name is Chris Wells. Tell me about Chris Wells.
Chris Wells is a name, one, that I used to give girls back when I was in college, when I didn't want them to know my real name. And two, Chris Wells was actually my first ever EFED character, because I used to be an EFEDer. For those who don't know, EFEDing is, typing up promos or cutting video promos on the internet and competing with other people. And Chris Wells was my first character. The Innovator Chris Wells was his name. And that was my first foray into the world of EFEDs, which has given me so much, and I'm very appreciative to it.
So before we get into the EFED, because I want to talk about that just for a little bit, because I've never met anybody else that's done an EFED. Why were you not trying to give these women your name? Why, instead of going by Nick Harrison, you were telling them Chris Wells? Why?
Because I wasn't planning on seeing them the next day.
Fair enough. I understand that.
I'm a different man now. Again, Lord help me be a better man than I was yesterday. That is not who I am anymore. But yeah, back then it was like, I don't plan on seeing you anymore, so I don't need you knowing who I am.
So for everybody that's watching or listening on the podcast, the EFED is an internet wrestling company where you would create a wrestler and you would go on and you would trash talk to each other, and you would have different events and you would win belts and stuff like that. So, the EFED was something that came towards the end of maybe like mid 90s, early 2000s. So if you've never done an EFED, you're missing out. But Nick, how did you get involved with an EFED? Because I've never met anybody else that's done an EFED.
A dear friend of mine, while I was in college, was like, "Hey, I got this thing that I do that I think you'd be really good at." And he introduced me to EFEDs. That was back when GeoCities was still a thing. You can't find any GeoCities websites anymore. But back then, it was one of those things where guys were always on message boards doing something like some kind of fantasy thing. So it was like fantasy stuff for wrestling nerds like me, where you're typing up promos in the message boards and competing against other people, and they put the stats into the simulator to see who's going to win the matches and all this stuff. And it was just really, it was a really fun time, and it really continued to foster my love of professional wrestling at the time. Was continuing to do that with, and plus it was something to do with friends because I had a lot of buddies who were doing it too. So we were always communicating through that, which was just really fun.
When I did it, it was WXWF. It was ran by a guy in Plattsburgh, New York. I never met him. Don't know anything. We talked on AIM back in the day. AIM. That's how long ago it was. And my first eFed wrestler, because we used to use South Park wrestlers. A lot of the younger kids don't remember South Park wrestlers. They were wrestlers that were where they were like skins, like Fortnite. The kids might know Fortnite. And they slapped the skins of a wrestler on the character, and you would have people. So mine's was RVD, and I would go in and use Microsoft Paint, and I would change the outfit, and I called my guy BVD, Bob Van Dam, with 2 M's, and he was from the Bronx, New York, like I was.
Chris Wells came from the name. I don't even remember how I come up with the name, but I know that the nickname, the Innovator, was shortened from Tommy Dreamer, the Innovator of Violence. I was really big in the ECW at the time. Still love it. I got my ECW World Championship belt behind me here. And so I loved Tommy. And that was, that's where that nickname came from, was the Innovator of Violence, just shortened. He was the Innovator, Chris Wells. So he was just the innovator of offense, new and interesting holds and wrestling moves. It's just a lot of fun.
Why did you, before I continue, me and Tommy Dreamer, we got work heat because he and Mustafa Saeed tried killing me and my tag team partner, Prince Akhenaten, over the summer in Jersey, and they beat us up and they embarrassed us. And we deserve a round 2, and we're probably going to get it in 2022. But Nick, how come you never became a pro wrestler?
I worked with some independent companies here in Louisiana and Texas, and done some managerial work and some ring announcing as well. But the one time I tried to actually do some professional wrestling training, I ended up screwing my ankle up so bad from taking a clothesline. I took a clothesline and screwed my ankle up. So just a bad bump, and ended up going to the hospital. Was in the ER. I was on crutches for a while. So that to me was a sign that maybe I should just maybe the managerial thing and the ring announcing thing is probably more my bag. But it's not that I never wanted to. I just, I felt like managing was more my speed because of the gift of gab.
I understand that. Yeah. Nick, you've got a mantra, a saying. And when I first heard it, I thought, wow, this guy is on my level. He could be my best friend one day. That mantra is, it's okay not to be okay. Tell me about that.
Well, there are a lot of people in this world who are afraid to let people know that they are hurting. They're afraid to let people know that there is something wrong. I was one, that was me years ago, where I would put the smile on and, always continue to just walk through and let people think that I'm, everything's okay and everything's fine, when really I'm just really hurting. And, but it's hard for you to find somebody to reach out to help you while you're hurting if no one knows that you're hurting. And it's okay to not be okay. You should not be ashamed of your emotions and your feelings, especially us as African-American men. It's okay to show your emotions. It's okay to show your feelings. You shouldn't feel ashamed of putting it out there. That's one of those generational things where we're told as young men, don't be a punk.
Right.
Don't, why you crying? And that's not healthy. Emotionally speaking, it's not healthy, and that can also affect your physical being. So it is more than okay to show your emotions. If you're not okay, then that's fine. It's okay. That's absolutely fine. As we need to normalize, not being okay, because that's the first step in really finding out how you can be okay. And depending on, then again, whatever your idea of okay is, we want to try to find a way to get to there. So, but the first step is recognizing that you're not okay and admitting it.
I love that because, like you're saying, the way I grew up and my neighbors grew up and, people around me grew up, the way, maybe you grew up is that, you always taught, kid, don't cry, like, boy, why you crying? You want me to give you something to cry about? So it's like I would hold the emotions in. And in the past year, I've been working on being more, emotional and talking about how I feel. And, because obviously it's with the way I was, raised, I'm not saying that it was wrong because I didn't grow up to be an axe murderer, but, it's not right, but,
Yeah.
For me, it's costed me relationships, romantic relationships with women because it's like, oh, well, why don't you ever talk about how you feel? Because, this is how I'm feeling, how I feel, and like, I'm here, so I get it. I respect it. It's okay not to be okay. I might put that like on the wall somewhere and just live with that and carry that with me, Nick. I appreciate you for sharing that.
No problem. It's a great reminder to have for those days where you're not feeling all that great. And it's okay.
So what's next for the professor, Nick Harrison?
Well, I go back to work on Thursday. So that's the immediate future for the professor. I have moved out of the classroom and now in administration as the dean of students here in Monroe, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm just scratching the surface on that one. We're gonna do some really great things here. Uh, as far as social media is concerned, just continue making feel good content. Not everything that I do is wrestling related. Some of it is just having fun. And that's what it really should be, is just, are you enjoying yourself? Are you having fun? Are you fulfilling yourself with what you're doing? Are you walking in your purpose? And that's what's next for me, is whatever is ordered for me to do, I will continue to walk in my purpose in order to help others, smile and have great days and enjoy themselves and find something to laugh about every day. That's what we're here for.
I'll definitely keep on creating that content, because I found out about you because Adam Cole shared one of your I think it was Adam Cole who shared one of your TikTok videos. And I was like, wow, that's like really cool. And then I found you on Instagram and I started scrolling through and through and through. It's like, yo, this guy's funny. Let me go ahead and follow this guy. So, I'm glad that you're out there putting smiles on people's faces because, in the world that we live in right now, I think that's really important. So, Nick, just keep doing your thing, man.
Tristen, I appreciate it, man. And for anybody who's listening or watching and they haven't heard it yet today, you are loved, you are appreciated, you are important. You are more than enough exactly as you are. And always remember to be great. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much. Go get Tommy, man. Don't let him do you like that. Go get your revenge, bro. Go get your part 2.
Nick, thanks so much for joining me on this fun episode of the Tristen Law Show. Please tell everyone watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast how they can find you outside of the Tristen Law Show.
You can find me on all social media outlets at Mr. Professor 318. If you search Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, you will find me there. Give it a follow if you like the content. If you don't, I totally understand, but I appreciate you giving it a chance. And I thank you guys for listening.
That was education professional, longtime pro wrestling fan, karaoke enthusiast, and TikTok content creator, the Professor Nick Harrison. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll see you next episode on The Tristen Law Show.